Good morning, I'm Jacob Brooks for Skedline. Today is Wednesday, March 4th, and these are our top stories. Former Vice President Joe Biden has won at least 9 states on Super Tuesday after a recent surge. He is forecasted to win 351 delegates. His closest rival Bernie Sanders trailed behind, winning 4 states and at least 280 delegates. Elizabeth Warren and Michael Bloomberg won 28 and 12 delegates respectively, and as of 10:15 this morning, Bloomberg announced his withdrawal from the race, endorsing Joe Biden. A campaign aide for Elizabeth Warren has said that she is now talking to her aides to assess her path going forward. We're now going to Sarah with entertainment.
Thanks, Jacob. I'm Sarah Taher, and here's what we have for entertainment news. International Women's Week starts this weekend, and the city has already started to celebrate. Events are taking place all over Toronto, including writing circles, workshops, panels, and concerts. This Saturday, Toronto City Hall will be hosting an International Women's Day celebration. Netflix has released a Women's Day package titled Because She Watched. The streaming company has teamed up with UN Women in celebration of International Women's Week. The package is a special collection of series, documentaries, and films. It was curated by 55 women who work in entertainment, including Millie Bobby Brown, Janet Mock, Salma Hayek, and Sophia Loren. Some of the content in the collection includes Scandal, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and Orange is the New Black. The remake of Disney's 1998 animated film Mulan is set to hit the theaters by the end of this month. However, the movie will be missing one of its main characters. The 2020 version of the movie will not include Li Shang because of the Me Too movement. The movie's producer, Jason Reed, confirmed in an interview last Thursday that Li Shang was the captain of the Chinese army and later Mulan's love interest. The team felt it would be inappropriate to have a character who doubles as both a commanding officer and a sexual love interest. Disney fans are taking to Twitter to express their disappointments. Female rapper Megan Thee Stallion is taking her record label to court. 1501 Certified Entertainment and their manager, Carl Crawford, are being sued by the rapper over the contract she signed at 20 years old. Megan, now 25, says the contract is blocking her from releasing new music. The contract calls for the label to get 60% of her income, while Megan uses her 40% to pay engineers, mixers, and featured artists who work on her songs. Megan says that they're supposed to give her a statement for what she is owed, but that their accounting has been purposefully and deceptively vague. The suit goes on to say that Megan has over 1 billion streams and 300,000 individual track downloads. Billboard reports that she made around $7 million, but the label has only paid her $15,000. Longtime MSNBC cable news anchor Chris Matthews announced his retirement on Monday. This is following his controversial remarks to women and about Democratic presidential contender Bernie Sanders. He opened his evening show on Monday by saying, "Let me start with my headline tonight. I'm retiring. This is the last hardball on MSNBC." Last week, Matthews apologized for comparing Senator Bernie Sanders' victory in Nevada to the Nazi invasion of France. The hardball host is also facing accusations of sexual harassment from Laura Bassett, a political columnist at GQ. Bassett was a guest on his show in 2016 and recalled his inappropriate advances in her latest column. According to Bassett, while in the makeup room prior to the 2016 show, Matthews looked at her and asked, "Why haven't I fallen in love with you yet?" Matthews apologized for making, quote, "compliments on a woman's appearance that some men, including me, might have once incorrectly thought were okay." Canadian rapper Baby No Money is nominated for 2 Juno Award categories, Breakthrough Artist and Fan Choice. The 24-year-old artist is being nominated for his infectious song, La La La, that gained traction from the app TikTok. The popularity it gained on the app helped the song reach 500 million streams on Spotify and over 250 million YouTube views. The Vancouver-born rapper will not be attending the Junos as he is too busy with his current tour. Deborah Dugan, CEO of the Grammys, who was put on leave last month, was fired by the Recording Academy on Monday. Dugan was the organization's first female president. Before she was fired, Dugan claimed she was sexually harassed by the organization's top attorney. She also recently questioned the integrity of the Grammy nominations, saying conflicts of interest play a role in the process. Joel Katz, the attorney being accused of sexual assault, has since said that he categorically and emphatically denies her version of that evening. The Academy is now looking for a new CEO to fill her place. Alex Trebek, the host of the TV show Jeopardy, took to Twitter this morning to share a one-year update on his pancreatic cancer. He told viewers that the past year has been very difficult. Trebek said that one-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer was just 18%, but that his oncologist was confident he would hit his 2-year in 2021. A profile on the Humber comedy program that I wrote with my colleagues Ireland Lavery and Jaden Hamilton is now on skedline.com. The article gives a tour of Humber's Birmingham building and the activities that take place there. Go check out some of Humber's comedians this Friday at the Theatre Centre for Toronto Sketchfest. For more information on the comedy program and upcoming shows, visit skedline.com or at Humber Comedy on Twitter. This year's Paris Fashion Week has come to an end, but not without some memorable moments. Stella McCartney sent out her models in giant animal costumes to walk her runway for the finale. Louis Vuitton was the closer for Paris Fashion Week yesterday with a mix-up of retro chic, sporty, and futuristic looks set to a soundtrack sung by a choir in costume. That's it for entertainment. Now back to Jacob with more news.
Thank you, Sarah. Now on to some updates on the COVID-19 virus. The Louvre Museum in Paris has reopened after workers staged a walkout amid COVID-19 fears. Also in France, prices of antibacterial gel are soaring, forcing the federal government to regulate the prices. Elsewhere in the world, Russian President Vladimir Putin is downplaying fears over the virus, saying that the reports of the number of cases in Russia do not reflect the situation there. There are now 20 confirmed cases in Ontario, with over 100 more people set to be tested over the coming days. CDI College closed its North York campus this morning after the spouse of one of its students was confirmed to have the virus. The campus is expected to reopen tomorrow after it has been thoroughly disinfected. The World Health Organization has declared the global death rate as currently sitting at 3.4%. In other international news, the US conducted an airstrike on Wednesday against Taliban fighters. This is the first strike since both sides signed a historic troop withdrawal agreement on Saturday. Colonel Sonny Leggett, a spokesperson for the US forces in Afghanistan, said the airstrike was a defensive measure to disrupt a Taliban attack. He also said that while Washington is committed to peace, they would continue to defend Afghan forces if needed. Now to Jacob White with sports.
Thank you, Jacob, and here's what's happening in sports. The Toronto Maple Leafs lost last night to the San Jose Sharks 5-2. Forward Evander Kane tallied 2 goals to lead the way for the Sharks, who have won 3 in a row. The loss snaps the Leafs' own 3-game winning streak. Austin Matthews recorded his 46th goal of the year as he marches towards the goal lead for the season. The Leafs will continue their California road trip on Thursday in Los Angeles against the Kings. The Sharks are in the middle of a 6-game homestand and will play Minnesota on Thursday. The Montreal Canadiens defeated the New York Islanders 6-2. Brendan Gallagher and Joel Armia both had a goal and an assist to lead the way. The Canadiens started off hot with a 3-goal first period to propel them to victory. Canadiens goaltender Carey Price stopped 20 of 22 shots in the win. The Canadiens' next game will be in Tampa Bay against the Lightning. The Winnipeg Jets defeated the Buffalo Sabres 3-1. Jets forward Kyle Connor got a goal and 2 assists to lead the Jets to victory. The Sabres, meanwhile, continue their losing streak with their 4th straight loss. The Jets are holding on to the last wildcard playoff spot in the Western Conference, and they will try to push for the playoffs in their next game against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Edmonton Oilers defeated the Dallas Stars 2-1 in overtime. Alex Chiasson scored the game-winning goal on the power play to end the game. The Oilers have now won 3 in a row and are holding on to the 2nd playoff spot in the Pacific Division. Dallas continued their losing streak, with this game being their 3rd straight loss. Oilers goaltender Mikko Koskinen had a great game, stopping 42 of 43 shots in the victory. The next Oilers game will be on Thursday in Chicago against the Blackhawks. The Ottawa Senators lost to the Pittsburgh Penguins 7-3. Pittsburgh star forward Sidney Crosby tallied his 800th career assist in the game. Crosby became the 6th fastest player in NHL history to reach the mark. The Senators will play their next game against the New York Islanders. And meanwhile, in some other Senators news, the team will also be looking for a new CEO, as Jim Little was fired earlier today. Little had only been on the job for 2 months before his surprise firing. The Sens said that the reason for his firing was that his conduct was, quote, inconsistent with the core values of the NHL and the Senators hockey organization. Now, to the hardwood, the Toronto Raptors defeated the Phoenix Suns 123-114. Raptors All-Star Pascal Siakam led the way with 33 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. Siakam's All-Star teammate Kyle Lowry chipped in with 28 points for the Raptors. For the Suns, Devin Booker added 22 points and 10 assists in the loss. The Raptors had come into this contest losing their last 3 games and had regular starters Fred VanVleet and Serge Ibaka out before tip-off. The Raptors' next game will be a finals rematch in San Francisco on Thursday against the Golden State Warriors. Now for some Canadian content, Toronto-born guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 15 points and 6 rebounds, but it was not enough against the Clippers, losing 109-94. Clippers forward and former Toronto Raptor Kawhi Leonard had a game-high 25 points and 8 rebounds to lead the way for the Clippers. Gilgeous-Alexander has been having a great year as he is averaging 19 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists per game. His team's next game will be tonight against the Detroit Pistons. Director and die-hard New York Knicks fan Spike Lee continued his attacks on the organization. Lee called the Knicks the laughingstock of the league and will not be attending any more games this season. The attacks come only a couple of days after he was involved in an altercation with security. Lee was denied entry into Madison Square Garden through his preferred employee entrance. Lee says that he has been using that entrance for over 2 decades and was not informed of the new arena policy regarding which entrance to use. The Knicks responded via press release by saying that this is a false controversy and that they told Lee multiple times to use the VIP entrance instead of the employee one. Lee fired back by saying that the press release was an unmitigated, bald-faced lie. There's been no communication between the two parties since. Both Humber's men's and women's basketball teams are gearing up for crucial playoff games in the OCAA Final 8. The 10th-ranked men's team advanced to the Final 8 last Monday by defeating the St. Lawrence Vikings. They will open up their OCAA championship against the Georgian Grizzlies on March 6th. Meanwhile, the 8th-ranked women's team secured their position last Monday by defeating the St. Lawrence Vikings. They will start their OCAA championship against the Sheridan Bruins on March 6th. Down in Dunedin, the Toronto Blue Jays are continuing their spring training with a game against the Tampa Bay Rays today. The Jays are currently at the top of the Grapefruit League with a record of 6-2. The Jays are trying to build up players such as Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. as the youth movement continues in Toronto. Top prospect pitcher Nate Pearson has been very good in spring training, and the Jays will look to him as an ace of the future on the team. The Blue Jays home opener will take place on March 26th against the Boston Red Sox. Moving into the weekend, Toronto FC will play their first home game of the year against New York City FC. Toronto FC played their first game of the entire year last weekend, resulting in a 2-2 draw with San Jose. New York City comes into this game after a loss against Columbus Crew. Toronto is looking to rebound this season after losing in the MLS Cup final last year against the Seattle Sounders. To some international news now, Italy is planning to order all top-flight Serie A soccer games to be played behind closed doors. The sports minister Vincenzo Spadafora says that the move comes to help curb the COVID-19 outbreak, which in Italy is the worst in Europe. The government ended up canceling matches in the worst affected northern regions last month. Spadafora's announcement came as Serie A bosses were meeting to discuss the situation. Until now, they have preferred to postpone matches rather than play them behind closed doors. The epidemic in Italy has spread with over 2,500 cases resulting in 79 deaths. In Japan, the president of the 2020 Tokyo Olympics denied speculation that the games might be canceled due to COVID-19. The speculation came after Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe asked for schools to be closed this month. Companies in Japan are also encouraging employees to work from home. The number of confirmed COVID-19 infections topped 1,000 according to a Reuters calculation. The president of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, Yoshiro Mori, says that the situation changes every day and that they need to have a flexible plan in place. Despite this speculation, International Olympic Committee President Thomas Bach is confident that the games will begin as scheduled on July 24th. For our last story now, San Antonio Spurs legendary power forward Tim Duncan got to coach his very first game. Duncan, who was hired before the season as an assistant, took over when regular head coach Greg Popovich had to be away for personal reasons. Duncan led the Spurs to victory against the Charlotte Hornets. After the game, Duncan said that he enjoyed being in the, quote, big boy chair for a day. Now, back to Jacob Brooks with some more news.
Thank you, Jacob. In Canadian news, the Bank of Canada has slashed its benchmark interest rate by 0.5 percentage point in the face of the COVID-19 outbreak. The central bank said the outbreak was a material negative shock to the Canadian and global outlooks and predicted that as the virus spread, business and consumer confidence would deteriorate. Money markets quickly priced in a roughly 77% chance of another 25 basis point cut on April 15th when the bank is scheduled to unveil its next rate decision. The move marked the first time in almost 5 years that the bank had eased rates. The last time it was cut by 50 basis points was in March of 2009 during the global financial crisis. In provincial news, the Government of Ontario has revealed new plans to help those who are struggling with mental health. The new program, called Mindability, will be offering free therapy services to people suffering from depression and anxiety. Minister Christine Elliott said the new program will be funded just like OHIP, with no out-of-pocket costs to patients. It will focus on providing personalized care to each individual, and the program is expected to launch this spring and will expand throughout the rest of the year. Also in Ontario, the Ford government is rolling back its plans to increase class sizes and to enforce mandatory e-learning. This announcement comes after weeks of rotating strikes from major teachers' unions, as well as extreme backlash from parents and students. Education Minister Stephen Lecce said to CP24 that he hopes these concessions will show the government is willing to negotiate with the unions. He also said that it is now up to the unions to decide whether the planned strike action will go ahead. As of right now, there is set to be another strike on Thursday. Well, Toronto police have charged a man after a shooting in an apartment in Etobicoke on Tuesday night. Police were contacted around 10:30 after a man arrived at Humber River Hospital with a gunshot wound on his elbow. Following a brief investigation, they found out the shooting occurred at an apartment near Kipling Avenue and Eglinton West. The victim was treated and released from the hospital, and the man was charged with gun-related offenses. Police are urging anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers, and we now go to Emma Mowick for a look at the weather.
Thanks, Jacob. Well, it's March already, and it looks like spring might be just around the corner, although it's always so hard to tell with that temperamental Canadian climate we're all so fond of. Let's see how Humber students feel like the warmer weather impacts their lives. How do you feel like the warmer weather changes up your routine?
I think it just makes me in an all-around better mood. So.
Do you like getting to not have to wear really bundle up clothes all the time?
Yes. Oh yeah, wearing a winter jacket is just too much for me. It's heavy and I prefer this.
Well, now for the weather forecast for this week. We're definitely going to be seeing some milder weather and some more spring-like temperatures, with highs generally sitting above the 0-degree mark. So let's take a look at what the week's going to look like. So on Wednesday today, we're going to have a high of 5 and a low of -5. So it's going to be a little bit rainy throughout the day, but overall pretty nice temperature, nice to get outside in the warmer weather. As we move into tomorrow, we're going to have a high of 3 and a low of 1, but mostly sun during the day, so not much more precipitation, which is nice. Moving forward to Friday is going to be probably our coldest day of the week. We're going to have a high of 1 and a chilly low of -9, as well as some rain throughout the day, so some freeze is possible overnight. As we move into Saturday on the weekend, we're going to have a high of 4 and mostly sun, which should be nice if you want to get out this weekend, and a low of -2 on Saturday. Moving into Sunday, it's definitely going to feel more like spring. We're going to have a high of 6 and a low of 0, but some rain throughout the day, so definitely those springtime showers showing up on Sunday. Now, moving on to our international weather news. 25 are dead after tornadoes hit Tennessee yesterday morning. The National Weather Service's 8 tornadoes are believed to have touched down in Missouri, Tennessee, and Kentucky. It is not clear yet how many landed a direct hit on Nashville. In addition to the fatalities, at least 30 people were injured. Reports say that over 48 buildings were destroyed in Nashville. United States President Donald Trump is planning to visit the disaster sites this Friday. In Europe, the EU has unveiled a new climate law making the zero net emissions target legally binding. The law would commit the 27-nation EU to achieving zero net greenhouse gas emissions by the year 2050. The law still needs to be approved by Parliament before it can be put into action. Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg has responded to the announcement and has called the new law a surrender on the part of the EU. She also says that the EU has a moral obligation to lead the way in tackling climate change. I'm Emma Mowick with your weather report. Now, back to Jacob Brooks with the news.
Okay, well, thanks, Emma. For news today, I've been Jacob Brooks for Skedline News. Thank you.